Joe Major. I'm a member of Bob's studio. And before I start describing the work that I did here, I really wanted to take a moment and say thank you to Bob for sort of creating the studio and making it the vibrant place that it is. I'd also like to thank the members of the studio. I've made some really nice new friends, and it's fun to hear people play and improve, and it's fun for me to get stretched and learn new things. It, it is a sweet place to have during COVID. So thanks. Next, what is this project? It's a single song. It is transcriptions from Mack the Knife from Three Penny Opera, and but it's many different players. And I did that originally to pay homage to the people that I've learned from, studied with, I find to be great players. But it was surprising in how much it showed me about the song and how different people approach it. And I ended up learning a lot more. So instead of just playing it and sticking it up on the studio, I made this video, which is scary as hell. But you got to do new stuff. So who are the players? Well, you can't do this without addressing the king, Sonny Rollins. So I got 2 choruses of Sonny playing. Chad Lefkowitz Brown, who I studied with, learned a lot from, fantastic player. He's got a recording on YouTube, so I pulled off a couple choruses from his YouTube solos. Wrote to Bob and said, Bob, can you send me some playing on Mack the Knife? Pick the key, do anything you want. And so Bob did. Funny story there. You'll hear it later. The first teacher that I took lessons from as an adult guy trying to get my arms back around the saxophone, Ben Torres, is here. Fantastic player, really fun guy. And last is Guido Fazio. Guido is a phenomenal musician. We'll talk about him later also, and so he's playing a couple choruses here. So that's the playlist. The general format of this is I'll introduce who's going to play, and then we'll listen to it while that person. I'm playing because I'm playing the solo. I'm playing with a metronome on 2 and 4, and it really helps me to pay attention to what my sound is and where my time is. I've also played it with them a lot, but that's for simplicity. That's what I'm doing here. And when there'll be a lick that we're going to tear apart after I finish playing that guy's solo. And so when it's playing, I'll put the lick up for you to see, and then right after that we'll talk about it, and I'll put the lick up again. So you'll see the lick twice. If you like the lick and you just need to steal it like I do, you've got 2 opportunities for theft. Okay, well, with that, let's get started. It kicks off with Bob Reynolds playing the head. A couple notes about Bob's submission. Bob writes me and says, hey, sorry I'm a little late, but I got all caught up in the changes of Bobby Darin. I'm really listening to this and listening to that. And it is sort of quintessential Bob. Bob, I think, really does practice this stuff. He just listens to stuff all the time and really closely. And for all of you that want to know what does it mean to embellish a head but still have it clearly identified as the original melody, this is a good example. So, Bob, take us away. First, just such a nice feel and some things that pop in funny places. Bob does a really good job of digging into when you're playing that melody, it goes down to a D, and then you'll hear Bob really go down and dig into the E flat. That's a leading tone that comes up to the E. Man, that all sounds really great. So now actually let's listen to him blow his first solo, and I'll back that up just a little bit. Okay, we're going to look at one lick now, and I'll show you the lick. I'll put it on the screen, so you'll see it here somewhere. I don't know how this all works in the end, but a couple things. He's really popping rhythmically in odd places, and it just sounded so neat to my ears, and I thought I'd put the lick up. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. So it combines moving really gracefully inside the changes and around the changes with these wonderful accents and putting time here and putting time there. Really very cool. Love that. Next thing, of course, I don't specify anything in particular in terms of what these folks are going to play, so they submit. And they play different changes. And basically, there's two sets of changes that are going on here. One of them, from the A minor chord, it goes back to D minor. And we'll show that set of changes now. And this sounds kind of more natural to my ears, I guess. The other set of changes that people will play, they'll go from the A minor to the D7, D7 to D minor, G7 to C. And that's, of course, the D7 is what we call the 5 of 5, and it's a dominant sound, and then it goes back to the D minor to do the normal 2/5. Anyway, thought you guys would find that interesting. And on both in Bob's and then in Ben Torres's, I'll put a little D7 up so you know that happened. Yeah, so that's Sonny Rollins. Probably don't need a lot of introduction there. A couple things about Sonny, and then I'll talk about one lick in particular. Just incredibly accurate and precise about his time. And that people talk about a lot of different things about Sonny, and I won't even start to go there. But one of the things that just strikes me is just how spot on this stuff is. It's harmonically just right, and it just pops into place. The one thing I'm going to talk about in his lick, and we'll put up his lick here. I don't know how that's going to work, but I'll figure it out. And of all the players here, Sonny is playing them in a quite pronounced way. He's playing the major 7th and the major 6th. I don't know if the raised 6th of the A minor chord. So the scale he's playing there is A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, and you'll hear him clearly play the G sharp and the F sharp. It gives a really open, interesting sound, and it's unique among all the players here. So I thought that I'd bring that out for Sonny. The next player that's up is Guido Fazio. Guido is an incredible musician here in the Bay Area. He can play almost anything, and he plays things very well. Brilliant soloist, really does a phenomenal job at being authentic in the feel that's required. and we're going to hear him up next. Okay, go Gweed. Okay, yeah, good job, Gweed. Um, yeah, Guido's a dear friend. So a couple things that I think stand out there, and you have to kind of be there to hear it. But Guido really, in the recording that he sent me, and I'm doing the best I can to mimic it, but he's really driving time, and it's just right on top of things, really pushing things, and I can turn his backing track off, and it's just absolutely clear that it's like he's driving a rhythm section. It's really striking when you start to tear into the thing he's playing. Also, we're going to look at this lick here, and again, take a look at the lick. I posted it. I'm figuring out what to do now. I'm posting it actually when he played. But as you're looking at this lick, we often, when we're playing 2/5s, we'll take the 2 and we'll sort of make descending sevenths out of it. So it'll go, if you're in D minor, it'll go D to C sharp, which is the major seventh of the minor chord, to the C natural, which is the flat 7 of a D minor chord, and then it'll go to B. And you hear that a million times in a million licks. Two of the soloists here, Guido and Bob. Bob does it at the end, which we haven't talked about yet because it's a special treat for tenor saxophones. They both do interesting things with that line. So instead of just going da 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 da, you'll look in Guido's line and you'll see that seventh, as it's shifting down, is kind of moving around where it sits. And it's a real nice feel. I thought I'd bring that out as a line to look at there. So the next player up is my friend Ben Torres. Ben was really the first guy I took lessons from when I was trying to get my arms around the saxophone again. Just a ton of fun to be with. Funny, smart, fantastic technique. Benny's a phenomenal guy about time, rhythms, and things like that. So a funny story, and it relates actually to the lick that I transcribed for you all that I'll show. So I say, Benny, I make little recordings of Christmas things. Would you be willing to play on one with me? And Benny says, sure. And why don't we do My Favorite Things from The Sound of Music? And it's not really a Christmas song, but a lot of people play it as a Christmas song. So I think, okay, sure. So I sort of learn the tune as best I can, and I learn it as a waltz, and I learn it in 4. And Benny comes over, and moderate tempos, understand, tempo de lerno. And Benny comes over and pops out his arrangement. It's an up-tempo tune now, and it's in 5. And he crushes it, and I get crushed. So with that, that's my introduction to Benny. Here you go, Benny. Go blazing, man. Okay, so everybody knows what lick I'm going to talk about. It's the one where it's right there and you understand what's going on, and then for a long time you don't, and then miraculously you come out the other end and it's good. So of course the lick we're talking about, it's up here. it's in the section of the tune that goes D minor, G7, C. And Ben starts it off just with some triplets that are arpeggiating a D minor chord. And then he starts going into groupings of 4 notes. Specifically goes into 3 groupings of 4, which is 12, which you can divide by 3 and get back to 4, and my head hurts. But what's really cool about it is after he gets done with the 4s, he comes back into some regular bebop language that winds this thing out to a really spectacular ascending line up to a high D, and it's just really interesting to listen to how it sort of phases out of time and then comes right back in. Took me a little while to learn that lick. Good job, Ben. All right, next up is Chad Lefkowitz Brown. Before I talk about Chad's work, I did want to give a bit of a shout out to Chad and Bob in terms of how I heard them. They both have a very big presence in YouTube. And, I'd go on YouTube and kind of listen to players and try and figure out what did I like, what did I find interesting. And both of them were YouTube recordings, and I can remember the exact recordings and actually what I heard and thought you might find it interesting. So with Bob, I've gotten to know Bob's playing, and there's a lot of different facets to it. But the one that hit me so strongly when I first heard it was just the first note the guy plays on the tune Unlucky with guitar band. It's just a completely different placement of the tenor saxophone and how does it work and what does it sound like. Really had a big impact. So at that point, it's like, who is Bob Reynolds and what does the guy do and how does he play things? With Chad, it was a different recording, obviously. It was recording with Chad and Randy Becker playing a blues. And it was just, it swung hard, interesting note placement. It's just a bunch of good feel and language. And he's got a wonderful ability to construct complicated rhythmic ideas within lines. And the transcription here has one example of that. So let's listen to Chad. Chad, take it away. Oh yeah, so sorry, but wanted to let you guys know that Chad's the first guy that switches keys. So Chad's going from R, C to D flat. With that, Chad, take it away. Yep, that's Chad. So the lick, and again, I'm showing it somewhere here, not having done this before. I have no idea what I'm doing. Anyway, if you take a look at that lick, you'll note that the rhythmic colors occur on a bunch of different beats, and they're sort of spread out. And when you really listen to it, having the rhythmic variety be on 2 and then 4 and then 3, it gives it a real spark, a real drive to it. And you'll see this when you listen to Chad. That's part of him. It just kind of pulls out. It's kind of fun. Next, I'm modulating up a half step. I'll play a couple choruses in D. What I really want to talk about next, though, is Bob. And one of the funniest things is I love playing in concert D flat. There's some bassy things that are there, and it has a lot of good notes on a saxophone. Like an E flat is just, it's just a good note, and there's a couple different ways you can finger it, and all these special things. So anyway, I get Bob's recording, and sure enough, the guy modulates to D flat in the end. So I had to put him, great head, playing in D flat at the end, so he gets to be the lead off and finish batter here. A couple of just devices that I use to pay a little bit of homage to these guys. When I switch keys and I go from D flat to D, I'm basically ripping off a lick from one of the soloists, and you can figure that out. And when I'm modulating from D, our concert D, to our tenor D to tenor E flat, where Bob ends the last chorus, I'm taking a lick out of Bob's last chorus, putting it in the wrong key, and using that to do the modulation. So, fun things to do. Okay, so this is me playing and then finishing up with Bob. All right, I really love this thing is that it ends in D flat. Honestly, one of the things that's interesting about that last chorus that Bob plays is there's some rhythmic things that are pretty subtle in there that I'm still not getting perfectly well, and I'm getting closer, and I get back in the pocket pretty quickly, but every now and then it gets out, and you may feel that as sort of rhythmic oddity. Apologies. There is one lick in there that I thought I'd point out, just like with Guido's lick, when he had a really slick way of bringing that seventh down. In this lick that you see here, you see it's an F minor chord, B flat 7 chord to E flat, and you see the F coming down to the E, just like you always hear it to be, and then he doesn't take it on down. Instead, he basically alters the 5 chord there and puts a sharp 5 in it to give it that augmented sound. Really nice and elegant, resolves it back to the 5 of the 1 chord B flat. I thought it was a really neat lick. So that wraps up what I've done here and the analysis as I've done of it. Big thanks to everybody that sent music in for me. I appreciate you doing it for me. It's very gracious of you. And, hope you all learned something from this. I sure did. Bye.